Hello and welcome to another mini painting video. This week I am working on a piece based on the Netflix TV series Glow, which follows female wrestlers from the 1980s in Los Angeles. Specifically, this is a match between Alison Brie's character and Betty Gilpin's character in the Season 1 finale. It was shot specifically this sequence and many of the matches in the show. When they film it, they switch between the HD cameras for the Netflix series and also the cameras of the era, which were very standard definition. So between the bright pinks and bright color scheme of the 1980s here, we also have what I pulled from, which was actually a shot from the low-res VHS quality camera, which has a lot of blurring aspects to it, things that color bleeding into other color, reds get pumped up even more. So a lot of the detail in this piece I wanted to be still implied. And as I started working on it, my marks became more and more almost expressionistic, just leaving some energy to it, some scribbles that would almost seem to jiggle in the light, much like an old VHS tape. I'm building up Betty Gilpin's hair here a little bit, and then starting to work on her outfit here. Slowly building up sparkle. I mean, everything was sparkly and shiny and covered in pink. So, let's see, starting to work on her skin tone here, building up some slight values. She had her head tilted back extremely, and this did cause some problems with me as I was working. It took a long time for it to look right. Extreme foreshortening in many cases can cause artists problems, and this was no exception for me. Around this point in the piece, I was beginning to notice just how much pink was everywhere. In the 1980s, everyone was a fan of this bright-ass pink, but I was beginning to start putting the pink even in the flesh tone of Betty Gilpin's character here. Slowly building up value in her outfit and hair, and then you'll see I'm even going more extreme here with shadow, but the shadow is of this bright, almost neon pink, and then going back in with some more oranges to darken that up. But still, pink shining through everywhere. And of course, Alison Brie's character, which I'll work on here in a few, her outfit is this shiny, spandexy, glittery pink outfit. So I was just trying to play up this low-res implied detail, and I really like the composition here, kind of diagonals of Alison Brie's arm and leg leading us back into Betty Gilpin's character, and then just Alison Brie's outfit in general, her crazy hair, really added to this kind of off-center composition. Although as I continued on this, I added in some, late in the video you will see, I added in some lens flare techniques that showed up, would have shown up in a VHS or a broadcast camera of this event with these bright lights. So I'm still going in and darkening Betty Gilpin. I've added her stars to her costume, and now I'm switching over to Alison Brie. Now, by this point in the drawing process, I was, I had been frustrated, and it was a bit more of a struggle getting Betty Gilpin's character done, and to look finished. So I went into Alison Brie's character more hesitant. Started building up the flesh tones very slowly, but I was almost frightened to go straight into getting the portrait and likeness of Alison Brie, especially with the weird abstracting, distant blurring that the VHS quality gave to her face in this pose. But I still just started making marks, and the marks became more expressive and almost frantic at times, which added to the energy. I'm darkening in with purples, lots of pinks, blue violets, red violets, and as I started adding the pink of her outfit, I realized that I should probably start working these pink shadows into her face as well. So I started going in, and this was when I finally realized that, okay, I can continue being expressionistic with these marks, and if I keep making slight marks here and there with different reds and different peaches and all of that, eventually the likeness would come through. And it was a bit of a gamble, but I think it paid off. Pardon me. And there were so many different color choices and colors that were just overlaid in that hair and in the face that it all kind of washed out and washed together in a lovely blur. As you can see here, I'm now starting to go in with purple, violet, blue violet, and starting to build up that shadow in her face. And only now really looking at Alison Brie's face and going, how close of a portrait is this? And I think it turned out pretty well. Let's see. Yep, as you can see, I'm now adding in some of the darker tones. At this point, I'm like, yes, this looks like Alison Brie enough, and I can go in with the core shadows on her face. And just seeing the light, the spotlight hitting her face, I mean, that's nearly a stark white, and leading into that bright pink and orange on the face. I think it worked really well. I'm pleased with how the colors worked. I think it successfully looked like a VHS tape of the event, and I thought that both of the actors were represented well. This is what I finally do, is I usually go in at the end with a Bic pen just to crisp up a few lines, add a couple crazy curls to her hair, and just line things up. Now, this is me adding the lens flares with, this is a colorless blender Copic marker, and this worked. It started out really well, but as I continued building up and over more and more lines, the darker marker colors were still blurring in, and so I had to go back over it actually with some opaque white and a whiteout. But I think that stark white with a stark black line actually works pretty well when you look at old over lens flares on VHS. There's sometimes that black line. Thank you for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, leave a comment below if you have a suggestion for another mini painting. And thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next week.